Hello and welcome once again to the Power Lunch live show. Hiding behind me are between 1 and 4 amazing guests. How many? You don't know yet, but you're about to find out. Quick announcement before we get on to that, and while people are still logging in, on Monday is the Entrepreneur Summit. So if you have a spaceship, a sword, a TARDIS, or a dragon, I've got a dragon, here he is, in your office, then you may be interested in coming to the Entrepreneur Summit. If you get why the Entrepreneur Summit is called Entrepreneur Episode 5, The Summit Strikes Back, then you should definitely come to the Entrepreneur Summit. It's free. It's awesome. You need to go to summits to meet people and learn stuff, so you might as well go to this one, which is more fun than the others. Also, I run an open virtual coffee and connection bonanza, so those are two separate events. If you want to meet me and a bunch of other people, that's the way to do it. You can just hop right on my calendar. Come in anytime. Well, not anytime. You gotta come when it's running. Okay, enough about me. The guy who knows a guy. Let's meet some of the people that I'm meeting today. Welcome, Kevin and Kim. So we're going to start by doing some quick introductions, and you'll be big on the screen for a moment. And then each of you has sent in a topic you want to lead us in. And so with 2, we will certainly have enough time to get to both topics. Sometimes with 4, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And we'll just kind of kick it around and see where it goes. And so let me start by making us big. And Kevin, tell us a bit about yourself.
Right. So Kevin Stansfield, that's my website there. The company is Action Coach. We're the world's largest business coaching organization. I've been coaching business owners and senior execs now for about 17 years. Prior to that, I was a freelance finance director, working for a number of fast growth companies, taking them to multi-millions. Oh, hang on.
There's a blurry figure behind you.
She's live on telly. And yeah, so I've written 3 books over the last 4 years. First one took me 4 years to write, but since then I've been able to do a couple more. And just really, I'm interested in business growth, helping businesses to get to that next level. So.
Fantastic. And Kim Stewart, tell us about yourself.
Hi there. I own a business called Athena Coaching and Consulting, which really specializes in helping nonprofit organizations to curate a board of directors that is going to help them raise the money that they need to have the kind of impact that they exist to deliver to the community, and also so that they can have the long-term sustainability that they want to have to leave a legacy to make the world a better place. And I get really excited talking about nonprofit organizations and how they can just build up our communities and get people engaged in their making their community a great place to live, work, and play.
Fantastic. I think somehow your audio and video become unsynced, but I heard you fine. I saw you fine. Just looked like a kung fu movie. So let us kick off first with Kevin's topic, which is the roller coaster ride of business of business entrepreneurship. So give us a few minutes about that, and then we'll open up for some conversation and discussion on the topic.
Yeah, so the title is the subtitle of my first book, which was called The Big Dipper: How to Survive the Roller Coaster Ride of Business Ownership. And it sort of stemmed from a couple of places. One, running my own business, it always felt like I was on this roller coaster of ups and downs, and a real sort of that challenge of how you cope with that, the real highs in business, but then the real lows, and it's how you get through those lows and come up the other side. And I based the book around my father's story. My father was a reasonably successful in business. He was a finance director of a pretty large company in the town, but gave all that up and bought a business off a man in a pub, as you do, and then ran that business for 15 years. But unfortunately, in the sort of mid-90s, we hit that sort of 90s recession, and he lost the business. The business just went gone. He was in his about pretty much the age I am now when he lost the business, and he never worked again. And so yeah, his was a sad story, and I wanted to pay homage to him because unfortunately he passed away at the age of 65 and a half, 6 months after he'd started taking his pension. And I wanted to get across that story of, a business is there to give you a better life and to help you, to get more out of it. It's not just something you do until you're 65 and then worry about, well, what am I going to do now? And a lot of people in business I see are on this roller coaster, but they don't know how to get off it. They're stuck there. And that's really what I do, and what the concept of the book was about, how you deal with the ups and downs, and then how do you get off the roller coaster.
So if any of it can be explained in less than a whole book, what are some of the key things that a business person watching, or I, could learn from you about getting off the roller coaster?
I think that the key thing is to know you're on one in the first place, and why you're on it. When you start a business, predominantly most people start businesses because they are moving away from something. So I've just lost my job. I'm going to start a business. I'm fed up with working for this idiot boss, so I'll start working for a complete lunatic, which is myself. So there's a desire to move away from something they're not happy with, within the sort of employment world. And that's fine, and that will take you so far, but that's pretty much before then. But at some point, you've got to then decide what you really want from the business. So what is your end game? Do you want a business that works without you, that you can sell? If you want to sell it, how much are you going to sell it for? When you do sell it, what are you going to do with your life? And it's really being honest with yourself and looking into the future and saying, right, this business is to get me from A to B, but what does B look like? What am I actually trying to build here?
Okay. So to kind of have that begin with the end in mind, and have that sort of concept there.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So, Kim, do you have any thoughts on the business roller coaster?
Yes. Actually, a lot of what Kevin said resonates with me. I love what you said about when you start a business, oftentimes you're going away from something. And that's very much true for me. I worked in nonprofit organizations for over 30 years, which I loved. However, my last stint wasn't necessarily my favorite, and left during the pandemic, which was not really a great time to find another job in nonprofit work. And so was going away from that and looking at, how to work for somebody even crazier than the people I was working for. So yeah, that really resonates with me a lot. I love what you said. And I love your story about your dad.
And I think there's there's a great book that was written in sort of the mid 80s. A guy called Michael Gerber wrote a book called The E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth. That most people, when they look at business owners, they see the entrepreneur, the sort of the Elon Musks, the Bill Gates of this world, who create something out of nothing and go on to building mega businesses. But the myth is the majority of business owners aren't those people. They're the unicorns. They're the 0.1%. They're the Roger Federers of tennis players. That one of those will come through in your lifetime. The majority of people are just in business to make a living, to get by, to feed the family, to do something they're proud of, that they're passionate about. But they're not business people. They don't think in that entrepreneurial way. And that's why they get stuck on the roller coaster, because they're moving away from something, but they're not clear of what that future is. They don't have the Elon Musks, right? We're going to put men and women on Mars. They're not designed that way. So.
Well, I often differentiate business owners from entrepreneurs. That a business owner is someone who happens to own a business, whereas an entrepreneur, Yeah, my friend Phil Palucha says entrepreneur is a French word for unemployable person.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur can't get a job. A business owner, if they got a good enough opportunity, doing something they cared about for the right guy, they'd be like, oh yeah, I'll sell this in a minute and totally go work. As long as
I would slightly disagree, because if you speak to most business people that have run their business for more than probably 5 years, they would all say they're unemployable.
Okay, yeah.
They would say that there's no way. I just and they are, because they've seen the light.
Yeah,
they don't want to go back, because that for them is a retro step. But I think you're definitely right there, that the entrepreneur, for me, an entrepreneur has massive vision. They have a real insight of I'm going to be a millionaire next year.
Yeah. Well, I think
how am I going to get there? I have no idea how I'm going to get there, but I will get there. And whereas a business owner is, I want to, their vision is a lot smaller. It doesn't mean it's any worse, because for them it's their world, is their family, is what's around them. But that's why they get stuck, because the guy with the big vision has got that sort of drive to get there.
Yeah.
If you've got a small vision, your drive is only going to get you so far.
I think also the business owners, they tend to more identify with their fields. Like they're a landscaper, they're a restaurateur, they're an accountant.
Yeah.
And they own a business because that's how you make money as an accountant. That's how you make money with a restaurant.
Well, it's like Kim. Kim worked in the charitable sector, and she started a business in the charitable sector. We call it the technician. The person who's good at the job thinks they can do a good job doing the job.
Yeah. Whereas the entrepreneur, that they open a restaurant, but then they might buy part of a trucking company because there's an opportunity, and then they buy 2 rental houses, and then they find and so they have this like Elon Musk. He's got a rocket ship company and a solar panel company and an electric car company, and because he just sees things and runs off this way and runs off that way.
Their business is the game of business. That's the real thing. Is they love playing the game, but actually doing the work, doing the actual what in effect gets charged out is no. I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in. If I own a restaurant, I'm not going to be serving the food. Yeah, they can come from that, because a lot of successful chefs have started in the kitchen, but they've transitioned out of that and are happy to let somebody else do it. And the problem with a lot of business owners is they're the best at doing what they do, so they won't let go. No one else can do this as good as I can do it. So they hang on to it, and therefore they're stuck. They're trying to run the business, working on the business, but they're actually stuck working in the business. And that's one of the biggest things I do with clients, is to help them to let go. Put systems and processes in place so somebody else can come in and actually run the business as good, if not better, than they could.
But I think that's one of the things about successful entrepreneurship too, is that yes, you may be the best at doing what you do, but the difference from you to your employee, nobody cares about.
Sure.
So if you're the chef and you can make amazing, perfect food, and your number 2 guy can make amazing, very good food, no one in the dining room can tell who made it. You can tell, maybe the other chef can tell, but the people giving you the money don't care. And you could have 2 restaurants if you're not cooking the food.
Yeah. And also, when you come to sell your business, you want to retire, who's going to buy your business if you're the chef?
Yeah. Yep.
So you think you've got a valuable business, but that's the value has got to be down to systems and processes and the people that you actually employ. And if you're good, you can train people to actually run it far better than you can.
I reminded of someone who I heard the story from a friend of mine that she sold her business for gobs of money, and she has what did they actually buy? And she said they bought binders. Because I had binders of every process, and I think it was a PR company. It was some company that there's a lot of them out there. She didn't have any proprietary methods. There was nothing about the company that couldn't be rebuilt, but she'd built binders and binders, and the binders had how to run a company. So it was a company in a box ready to run with a proven system. Because yeah, there's so many little things that you figure out through trial and error, and something you don't even think about. It costs you $50,000 to figure out.
Yeah, and that's the whole concept of a franchise. A franchise
Mm-hmm.
is a business in a box that you can buy and hopefully run better than starting one from scratch. And I was going to, the story of Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. If you've watched the fantastic film with Michael Keaton, so he was an entrepreneur because he saw an opportunity there to take a model and then replicate it, and move it on. He never bought McDonald's to actually serve burgers, whereas the McDonald brothers were the restaurateurs who wanted to serve the best burger.
Yep.
And that's a real good example of the technician who has one restaurant and does it well, makes a reasonable amount of money, and an entrepreneur who builds the world's largest restaurant chain.
Yep. That's a key distinction. So, Kim, tell us a bit about the importance of nonprofit organizations in our communities.
Yeah. So when I started my business a couple of years ago, like I said, I came to it with a long history of working in nonprofits and a really strong understanding of what it takes to operate and lead an organization. And what I found was that there's a lot of really amazing leaders out there who have a great heart for serving their community. Almost none of them have a strong understanding of what it takes to engage other leaders, engage volunteers, engage donors in the work that they're doing to make the community a better place. And so as I've been doing this work and trying to help other people understand what I do, because there's not that strong of an understanding of the nonprofit sector in most communities, is every nonprofit has the thing that they do. So whether they rescue dogs or they help children learn to read or whatever it is, and that's important. However, the real important work of a nonprofit organization comes from getting other people in the community to care about what they're doing. So getting people to want to have an impact in their community, getting people to find their passion for making the world a better place, and figuring out how to engage those people, whether it be through serving on a board or donating or helping out in the programming or whatever it is. That's the real value of a nonprofit organization and in the nonprofit industry in our society, I believe, is getting people to give a darn about their community and their neighbors and the people that they live next door to.
Yeah, I reminded my mother founded a nonprofit called Warmer Winters, which was all about knitting warm hats, scarves, gloves, sweaters for people who couldn't afford, people in need. And when I was a younger, more foolish man, I was like, what's the big deal? They're hats and scarves. You could buy them, go to Walmart and buy a hat for $1. Like, why is someone spending 40 minutes knitting a hat? And I later came to realize that, like, the hats are cool, but what they're really doing is they've got knit nights. They'll have volunteers come in and teach them how to knit. They'd often have the recipients of the items come in and learn how to knit their own things so that they make their own hats and scarves and gloves for their family. And it wasn't just about putting a hat on someone's cold head. It was about bringing a community together around the theme of this. But yeah, they ended up, I think they actually ended up like recognizing other nonprofits at their annual dinner, and like they really became a hub of other community activity, because it wasn't just about the knitting. That was just where it began. So I love that concept you're saying there.
Yeah, that's 100% what I'm saying. And I would say right now we are living in a society that's a little compassion deprived, and not that people don't want to care about other people. There's just been a lack of a focus on things like knitting circles and things like coming together for community-wide garage sales with the proceeds going to some sort of a charity or a cause. And so I think right now more than ever, it's important that nonprofit organizations understand their role in bringing people together to care about what's going on in their community. And beyond that, 90% of nonprofit organizations are small, locally serving organizations. And those organizations have a real, I feel, duty to develop leaders in their community. They don't attract people who serve on multiple boards and who have experience serving on boards. They attract people who care about their cause and are probably serving on a board for the first time ever. And so these small nonprofits have almost a duty to the community to help people figure out how to be community advocates, community leaders, the people in the community who see a problem and figure out how to solve it. And so that's a lot of what I like to help organizations with, is how do you become that catalyst for engaging people in your community to identify problems and figure out how to solve them.
I think that's to me has always amazed me that the charitable sector calls itself non-profit, because to me that's not the focus, not what you're about, because that's saying we're going out there to not make any profit, forgetting what they actually do and saying, you know, these are businesses with a cause. It's a business with a a charitable focus about what we can do with a really strong purpose, because there's a lot of talk in the business world about a business with a clear purpose. Right. Why are we here? You know, and the businesses that are succeeding at the moment have real clarity around why they're why. You know, if you read Simon Sinek stuff, you know, it's really sort of that. Well, charities have always had a why. They've had the strongest why ever. So they're actually the best businesses out there, because you don't have to come in and tell your whole team, you know, why are we here? You know, you don't turn around and say, we are here not to make a profit. That's as stupid as, you know, a business coming and say, we are here to make a profit. No, we're here to do something for the community, the world, you know, the industry that we're here to serve. You know, and if we do that really, really well, we will make money. You know, in the corporate world, you give the money to the shareholders who have risked their capital. In a charity, you use your money for even better causes. And so it's sort of, you know, I think it devalues what your sector does by calling it non-profit. I think it's, you know, it's a business with a heart, it's a business with a cause. You know, that's the focus. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to go and work for a business with a heart and with a cause, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Kevin. And the problem with calling it nonprofit is some people go into it thinking that you don't have to actually be a business and run like a business, and then you don't stay in business for very long.
Yeah.
Well, I think for some also, like, there's this like money is dirty philosophy.
Yeah.
And I've seen some groups, and it's interesting. It's almost like a nobility type mindset, upper class type mindset of of course nobody should get paid to do this, and you know, you should be honored, you should be donating, you're giving of your time, and then of course the best people can't give their time because they're putting their time someplace they get paid. So, you know, you wonder why you can't get the best people, and you can't, especially skilled people, accountants, web designers, marketers. I know one of the challenges, I saw an article about a company that did nonprofit fundraising, and they were really good at it, and they took like 6% or something of what they raised, or they took some percentage of it, but they'd raise $1 gazillion. So they'd take a nonprofit from $500,000 raised to $4 million raised. But then when these charity navigator sites look at it, they say, oh, but out of that 4 million, 1.3 million is going to administrative overhead, so you get a D because you're spending too much money on too much money in administration. So they fire this company and they go back to making $700,000. So like that's not better. That's worse. You see how that's worse, right? But people just look at like what percentage goes to, 97% goes directly to the cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the kind of almost ironic thing is that as a society, we have no problem with the owner of Walmart making billions of dollars. But for someone who's doing work that makes our community a better place, God forbid they make a livable wage or even a little better than a livable wage. And really, that's a paradigm I would love to see shifted, because shouldn't somebody who's helping children who don't have any shoes, shouldn't they at least be able to feed their family?
Well, I think the idea is this concept almost goes, this philosophy almost goes to biblical times, that if you're a good person, you'll have money. Money will, God will take care of you. You'll be taken care of. And if you need money, well, I suppose if you're one of the merchant class, and that's the thing. And then going to the feudal times, medieval times, Renaissance times, where nobles didn't work, they didn't make money. I mean, they lived off taxes, which is why they didn't work. But if they had to, there's in that transitional period where the nobility had to start like investing their assets in order to not be broke, and so many of them hired someone else to do it and got screwed because they're like, I don't deal with money. Oh, I'm noble. And I think that attitude is carried through, that because a lot of nonprofits were very rich people, or a very rich person's spouse or child or brother or someone who didn't need money, and so they could give their time. And that's kind of our idea of what a nonprofit leader looks like. So like, wait, you want to get paid, out of your $170,000 budget, $60,000 that's your salary? Really, we're paying you? Like, yeah, you know how much an executive director does?
Right.
They actually, that thing you're paying for, the ED does it. Like,
Right.
that is the vehicle through which it happens, and people just don't. They don't get that.
No, not at all. And that's something I'd love to see shifted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always think it's money is the oil in the machine. It makes the machine go round. You've got to have it. It's the way that we. It's the scoring. I always think business is a game that we play. And every game you play has a scoring system. You play golf, there's a scoring system. Play tennis, there's a scoring system. So in business, there's a scoring system, and it happens to be profit.
Yep.
Could be anything, but we've chosen that it's the net of your income, your money coming in, your money going out. And if you have a bigger number at the end of the day, then you've done better than a smaller number at the end of the day. But the number of zeros on the end, well, that's down to you. That's down to, again, your goals, your direction, where you want to go. What you do with that money is down to you.
Yeah.
You can give it to shareholders. You can give it to good causes. You can do what you want to do it. There's always a choice there, and that's the key. Is money doesn't buy you happiness, but money does buy you choices. So and I always think it's a bit of a magnifier. So if you're a miserable person and you're rich, you're just miserable with a lot of money. If you're a happy person and poor, whether you're a happy person with no money, it'll just if you've got more money and you're happy, you'll just be a rich, happy person. But if you're a miserable person, thinking you're going to get more money is going to make you happy, no. Might do briefly, but very quickly you'll start to it'll work against you.
I think actually there's studies of what the threshold is. It's something. It's like $70,000 in the U.S. $70,000 per person, and up to 70, you will get happier because you worry about less. If you're down at $20,000-$30,000 a year, you're spending every day wondering, how am I going to eat? How we're gonna, you're saying no to your kids for everything they want. You're looking at your gas tank saying, I don't know how I'm going to fill this. Like, that's going to make you pretty unhappy.
Yeah.
But once you get over 70, it's like 70 or 80,000 a year, that it doesn't actually make you any happier.
Yeah.
And interestingly, they actually found an inflection point that there's a point above which you start getting less happy on average.
Yeah.
I think it was somewhere around 300,000 or 400,000 a year, that on average people who make like 800,000 are less happy than people who make 200,000.
But I think and it goes back to the human and animal psychology is, if you've got it, you have a fear of losing it. So, if you've got more than you need, suddenly you become worried that somebody's going to take it away from you.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, if you have nothing, you're not worried about people taking it because, well, please take my debt away from me. You can have that. So there is that sort of that inbuilt. We call it, it's the reptilian brain that kicks in, that is on the lookout for protection. And what am I scared of? If I don't have any, big bad wolves coming after me, then I'll create them.
Well, and also, once you have that kind of money, you're no longer just putting it in the stock market. You're probably buying rental properties, and you're doing more active things. Or you buy a boat. Well, now you have a boat. Well, now you got to manage your boat. You got to clean your boat. You got to get the boat out of the water. You got to get the boat in the water. You buy a 5-acre property. Well, now you got to mow it, and you got to deal with, you got 9 bathrooms in your house, and any one of them could leak at any given time, and you got all these different,
There's a lot to be said to just go and become a monk or a nun and go and live on top of a cliff somewhere.
As the poet said, "Mo money, mo problems."
Which poet was that?
Biggie Smalls, I think. He's definitely a poet. One of the better paid poets out there, actually. But I was just talking to someone before this show about organizing a networking event for super connectors, because a super connector is basically someone who actively thinks about who can I connect and make good things happen. And a lot of the best of them tend to have that nonprofit mindset of, I just want to help people. Or you're like, oh, I know someone who can help you. I need to help you. And many people, when they approach it, they come in with this like, oh no, I'm not doing it for money. Or I know I've even heard some say like, oh yeah, I'll connect you. And it's not an affiliate link. I'm not getting paid for this. And the problem is that you can't lose money on every deal and make it up in volume. Now, if you're spending your time giving away connections, I mean, great, people are going to love you, but unless you have some way you make money, you wear yourself out, because then you have to go do the thing that makes money, which probably is not as much fun as making connections and solving problems. And for me and for many others who do connections, it's a matter of discovering people are willing. First off, people are willing to see you paid, because if I make a connection for someone, they're almost never paying for it. It's like the way an insurance agent works, that the insurance company pays them for connecting them to you. So you don't pay for it. They're just getting paid. But there's some people out there who are like, wait, you're getting paid for this introduction? I don't know about that. Like, well, am I providing value? Should I get paid for providing value? Is it even your money that's paying me? No. So what are you worried about? But I found it growing, the kind of people I associate with are entrepreneurs who some will go out of their way to say, do you have an affiliate link for this? This is valuable. I want to make sure you get paid. And I signed up for a service once, and I realized I hadn't put in the affiliate code, and I contacted support immediately. I said, I want to make sure that this person gets tagged as the person who brought me in, and they get paid for it. Make sure that they're marked as the person who brought me in, because especially when it's someone else's money. I'm happy to do it. And if it's someone of integrity, now I think the worry is like, well, are you only making this introduction because you're getting paid for it? But if it's a person of integrity, they'd get paid no matter who, but they're going to do the one. If there's 2 people to introduce someone to, one is the perfect fit and one pays me, they're going to meet the perfect fit. I'll get paid next time. But I want to see the people around me do well. I want to see them get. Because also, if you get rewarded for helping me out, you're going to help me out again.
Yeah. I mean, it's a couple of things there. One is the law of reciprocity. If I give you something, you'll feel obliged to give me something back. And then the other thing that's at play is the scarcity and abundant mindset. The people that have that sort of feeling, why are you getting paid? Have that sort of scarcity that there isn't enough.
Mhm.
Whereas the abundant is the old adage of, if you go down to the ocean with a bucket, thinking if I take this bucket of water out, then the ocean will be depleted, then you won't do it. Whereas if you go in and dip your bucket in, knowing that it will come back, and the beauty at the moment with quantitative easing from your federal government, you can take as much money as you want because they'll just print some more money.
Yeah. I think they're dialing that back pretty aggressively.
But in a way, that's sort of part of their thinking, that if we can keep the money flowing and people can, if I take money and I have it and I spend it, well then what I spend it on is going to boost the economy.
Yeah,
because I'm going to keep people in jobs, and if I pay you to do something, you then spend that money. So if the money keeps moving, then everyone's going to do well. It's the problem where people then start hoarding the money or taking the money out of the system and then not spending it, and that's really how recessions start, is because people get fearful. Oh, geez, well, I won't do anything, so I'll hang on to my money. So they won't go to the restaurant and spend their money. And then the whole thing starts to grind to a halt, and then you've got sort of big problems there.
Yeah.
So therefore they go, right, well, we'll print money, we'll make the loans cheap, so the people that want to spend money can borrow now more money, which can help. But if that money still isn't being processed, then we end up again in the same position. We'll just kick the can down the road, but the problem's bigger because everyone's in more debt. I'd love to know where the money is, because if everyone's in debt, if every Western country is in massive debt, then who owns all the debt?
The theory behind how like sovereign debt works is really complicated and weird. They're starting to figure out, like, you can have a country who owes 100% of their GDP and it's totally viable because money at that level, it's like quantum physics. It's like physics versus quantum physics. Like at that level, it's not 1 + 1 = 2 anymore. It's 1.1 equals 3.7 x b squid.
And that's what I find, because I'm an accountant, so the whole thing of money is double entry. For every debit, there's a credit. There can't be 1 + 1 = 2. It's every in is an out.
Yeah.
So somewhere up the chain, that goes a little bit freaky.
But in terms of things like the Federal Reserve, when they loan money out, it's not, they print the money they loan out and then they get it back.
Yeah.
So it's actually very much like quantum physics, with the particles come into existence in pairs and then meet back up and disappear. It's like quantum money, but it seems to work unless it doesn't. But I also had it fascinating that there's, they talk about the K-shaped economy after 2008, that part of the economy went up and part of it went down. So some people, and of course you tend to associate with people like yourself. So there's some people in America who think that everything is terrible and there's no hope and we're all doomed. And other people in America think everything is great and don't know what everyone's complaining about. And they're in the same, and so often in the same town. They might be neighbors in a town like the one I live in. And I've now lived on both sides of the K, the place where the concept of a $150 speeding ticket would be catastrophic, and I wouldn't even know how I'd begin to deal with it. Versus, now where I have a successful business and someone's like, hey, I've got a course. I signed up for a course teaching me how to build a course, and I should at some point put a course together. I don't necessarily need it right now. I don't have the time to really do it justice, but I should put something together. So I took the course because it was a friend of mine and it was a special offer. And I said, if I spend $500 in that, I'll probably light a fire under my butt to actually, build a course. That probably won't bring the money back right now. And I'll throw 500 at that, which is a little bit different of a mindset from the, oh my God, this $100 speeding ticket will bankrupt me. And to realize there's two completely different mindsets. It's like people operate in different orders of magnitude of money. And then of course I realize, I talk to my friends who are still in challenged financial situations, and I realize I could make them 5 introductions and give them 20 minutes of advice and it would change their life. But that's too easy. So I can't, because they won't accept it. And every once in a while I'll meet someone who's kind of ready for that. They're like, I'm ready for something. What is it? And then I'll make a bunch of introductions for them. They'll be like, holy crap, this world has always been here. But it's amazing how it's just slight mindset shift, and all of a sudden you go from $12 an hour, $14 an hour is a lot of money because I used to make 12 to, the other day I was offered $200 for a modeling gig for a marketing company nearby, and I'm like, nah, that's not worth a whole morning, because it's just a whole different shift of where money comes from and how you make it.
And it is it's perception, isn't it? Go back to and you say it's sort of the K economy's change. It's always been like that. There's always been the people that have got money make money, and the people that haven't got money can't make money. And that gap maybe has widened. They've done the studies that the richest people over the last 10 years have grown their wealth by huge amounts.
Yeah.
But the challenge they've got is when you are the wealthiest person on the planet, what do you do with more money?
Yes.
And that's why the likes of Bill Gates and Elon Musk now are going, do you know what? I'm going to give it away. I'm now using that money because I can't spend it.
Yeah.
And it's generally the middle class that are the problem, because they can see the rosy bit up here. So they want more of the aspirational thing. And then they get a bit of that. And then they go, oh, right, I'm going to hang on to this now because I didn't have it before. Whereas the rich people just go, just spend it. And the poor people don't have it to do anything with anyway. So we end up with this sort of disparity.
Yeah. I think the rich kind of get to the point where they're like, I won capitalism. Okay, now I'm done with this now. Don't need it anymore.
Yeah. And they're the people that Kim wants introductions to. So if you've got any of those, then
right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think there's I had a thought and it's gone. Where'd it go?
I can see why you're going to be a male model now with thoughts that go like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think like a model sometimes. Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's a matter too, just thinking of where money comes from. Oh, right, that's what it is. That for a lot of these people, when I try to explain to someone how you could start a business, I say, what are you good at? Who is willing to pay for it? Now go find them. But that starts with understanding that there's a bunch of people out there with a lot of money. One thing I was explaining is in the U.S. and I imagine in the U.K. the numbers are probably similar. The median income is $67,000. So, or the per capita GDP. So you take all the income of the whole country, you divide it by the population. It's $67,000 for every man, woman, and child. So if you're making $29,000 working at a crappy job, then there's $38,000 out there somewhere that somebody else has that's your share. So the money's out there. The thing is, broke people have broke friends. So all their friends are broke. So when they say, hey, yeah, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to charge $500 for it, their friends are like, are you crazy? No one's going to pay you $500. That's what I make in a week and a half. Well, yeah, but I'm not selling it to you.
Yeah.
It's selling someone with money. And yeah, well, once I stopped trying to serve broke people and started trying to serve successful business people who had money, I started making money because they're happy to pay me. They look at what I do. They're like, oh, that's all you charge? Totally. Yeah, here you go. Let's get that signed up. But it's a matter of talking to the right people and realizing, and some of it's abundance mindset and some of it's just math, that whatever you are, you could be an artist, you could be an accountant, you could be a bookkeeper, mindset coach, tarot reader, whatever it is, there's someone out there who will give you what you consider absurd amounts of money for, for whatever you do.
And I think an easy way to look at that is artists. So if I've painted a picture and I put it up for $10, and I do the exact same picture and put it over there for $10,000, which is the better picture?
Yeah. Yep. Same picture, but yeah, perceived value.
So and I think the key, and you look at a lot of autobiographies of people who have come from nothing and diversity and turned their lives around and are now very successful. The big thing from that drove them is that vision, is that's what they wanted. So I have a little formula that I use in a number of occasions, which is BE times do, DO equals have. So who do I need to be? So my internal, my thoughts, do my actions, my external, my activity equals what I want to have. So if that's excellent. So if I said to Kim, out of those three things, you've got to have all three to be successful at anything in life. Anything in life, if you want to be successful, you've got to have all three. But one of those is more important than the other two. Which one would you say is the most important?
I would say who you are going to be is the most important.
Okay, so unless you learn new stuff, unless you've got the knowledge, then it's very difficult to be successful. Okay, so those are the people that go out there and they attend courses and they'll go to see Tony Robbins 10 times and they'll read every book out there.
Yep.
Okay, so they can get a certain amount of success, but to me, that's not what it takes. So if it's not the B, which one of the other two, Michael, would it be?
The do?
The doers. Because if you don't actually,
also, by the way, so
if you don't then go and do something, how are you going to actually? You can go to all the courses, but if you don't take that knowledge and actually do something, then how the hell are you going to be successful? So you'd think that actually the people that do stuff and are busy and spend 12 hours a day grafting are going to be successful. Well, that doesn't work either, does it? Because there's a lot of people that work a lot harder than I do, and haven't achieved the success that I have. So if it's not the be and it's not the do, which one is it?
Have.
The have. The most successful people out there are the people that have got clarity around what success looks like. So if you take an athlete, and that's why I always come back in my world to coaching into sport. So did you play sport, either of you two? Tennis? What do you play, Kim?
I wasn't very good at it, so not much.
What sport do you play? Do you enjoy?
I run.
You run, okay. So if I said to you, if your goal was to win any distance marathons or
I have done some distance in the past.
Okay, so let's say it was a marathon. So let's say you wanted to have to be an Olympic marathon runner and win a gold at the Olympics. If that was your have, and you really wanted that above everything else, then you would be and you would do what it took to be there. Okay. If you didn't have that goal, then the first time you got a stitch, or tripped up, you'd go, I can't be bothered.
This is why I'm not a long distance marathon runner.
Exactly that. And why I'm not, because I think, well, why the hell would you run that amount of time when there's a good bus down the road, or I can jump on my motorbike and do it in half the time.
Well, in terms of exercise, exactly. Because I think you also need that conviction, like what I'm doing matters and will do something. I recently hired a personal trainer because I know she knows what she's doing. So she says, do these exercises, that it's the right exercises. I'm not wearing something out. I'm not going to hurt myself. They're not going to, if you do the wrong exercises, even if you don't hurt yourself, you still aren't going to get any stronger or thinner. You're just going to get more tired. So when I try to do my own exercise, I'm like, is this even working? Is this enough? And then I get distracted and wander off. Now, Colleen puts the exercise in the app. I look at the app and say, this is what I'm doing this morning because Colleen told me to. And I paid her to tell me to. So I'm going to do it. But it's I know. So I get the have. I know what it's doing. I don't even know what it's doing. She knows what it's doing. I know what to do because she has given it to me. And I'm reliably doing it every day because I know there's a reason for it.
And that's any sports coach, the first question they ask the athlete they're working with is, so what do you want to have? How good do you want to be? Because if you want to be the best in the world, you're going to have to work a lot harder, and be and do a lot more than if you just want to get by. And that's what I find within business, and in life, that people sit there and whinge and moan about, oh, my business isn't doing this and it's not doing that. Well, what do you want it to do then? Because your business is perfectly engineered to give you the results that you're getting. So, if you want it different, then okay, you've got to set what that is, and then you've got to understand what it takes to get it from where it is to where it needs to be. And if you've never done it before, like Michael's saying, I've never been in the gym and I don't know how these machines work and what exercise to do, then you've got to go and ask somebody that does. Because it would be crazy just going into the gym and going, right, this is some nice big things here, I'm going to pull this down. Because the first thing you do is pull your back out, and then that's it. and that's where a lot of people in business is they're in the gym, and they probably find one thing that they can do, like the treadmill or the exercise bike. So I'll just do that all the time. I'll do the one thing that I'm good at, and I know how to do all the time, and wonder why they're not getting any fitter.
That is totally what I used to do.
And that's what they do in business, is they do the one thing they're always good at, which generally is, if they're a plumber, they fix the plumbing. If they're an accountant, they do the books. If they're a lawyer, they do the lawyery things, because that's the bit they're good at. The rest of it, the sales, the marketing, the recruitment, the motivation, the leadership, the finance, the numbers, I'm not so good at those things. Those other people do those equipment. I don't do that bit. Now, if you're clever, like I am, I get other people to go to the gym for me, so I never have to go to the gym. So I pay people to go to the gym to look good, so I don't have to. So.
There you go. Good solution. Not that metaphor.
Probably the analogy doesn't quite work there, Michael.
Yeah. Metaphors don't stretch.
Not quite that far.
Yep. So, since I am the guy who knows a guy, and you're on my show, before I wrap up, I'm going to ask, who are people you're looking to connect with?
Go on, Kim. You go first.
Thank you. I love connecting with other businesses that support nonprofits, because I work with a lot of nonprofits that need a guy who knows a guy, because they aren't experts at managing their books or marketing themselves or whatever it is. And so those nonprofit, or those businesses that serve nonprofits, they oftentimes are serving that size of organization that has gone from, we're a small little organization where one person does everything, to an organization that wants to be around for a long time. And so we need to outsource some of those things that we're not good at. So lawyers who serve nonprofits, accountants or CPAs that serve nonprofits, marketing, social media, PR organizations that really target those cause-driven businesses. Those are great connections for me.
So sometimes names pop into my head. Alas, that doesn't. I'm not sure it works specifically in nonprofit. I'm sure I know some, but definitely we should connect. And if you have specific things you're looking for, certainly reach out and let me know. And Kevin, who are people you're looking to connect with?
I mean, business owners that have been in business probably at least 5 years, have built up a small, reasonable sized team that are now starting to think about building a business that will work without them. How do I get this to that next level so that it isn't about me doing the work, and I've got a team of great people that are working around me. Those are the predominant people that I work with. Obviously, I'm based in the UK, in the south of England, but with Zoom, everything's online now, so it really doesn't matter. But beyond that are people who read books and would love a really good book to get their teeth into, and can buy my book off Amazon, which is called The Big Dipper: How to Survive the Roller Coaster Ride of Business Ownership. And, understand Be, Do, Have is one of the concepts in there, but there's another 12 things in there that will help people to understand how to survive that roller coaster and get off the other side. Stop feeling sick.
Fantastic. Well, if anyone's watching and knows those people, you can reach out to Kim is at athena-coco.com, and Kevin is at abc-solent.
Solent. Yeah.
Solent. Not Soylent. That's something else. abc-solent.co.uk. And so that brings us to our final comments. So whatever your final thoughts are, you may share them now. Kim, what's your final thoughts?
Well, I just really want to thank you both for this conversation. I don't know much about quantum physics, but I really loved the connection between money and how like obscure it is in our society anymore. I thought that was really interesting. I really appreciate both of your thoughts around that, as well as the conversation just around the cause-driven sector and what it means to our community. So I really appreciate both of you. This has been really enjoyable for me.
All right, great. And Kevin, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. The more you learn, the more you earn. You've got to feed your mind, and being open. If people watching podcasts now, I think it brings different people's aspects and understanding to a bigger audience. So it's been a pleasure being on the show, and hopefully we've touched and improved the lives of a number of people that take on board what they've learned, do something with it, but want to have more. So
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. And I'm just going to share right here once again this link here, guywhoknowsaguy.com/meet. So the thing I did not include in the lower third here is that I also on the second Thursday of the month run a networking gathering. So that is a place for people who are interested in connecting and meeting good people, like the sort of people I have on this show, can come to the networking gathering. It is no cost. It is no price. There's no money involved. The cost is you have to bring a desire to serve and a willingness to share your network and your knowledge to make the lives of other people better, which that's the kind of people we like to hang out with. So that same link, guywhoknowsaguy.com/meet, you will find that there as well. So thank you, Kim and Kevin, for coming on the show. Stick around for a second after I hit the red button here. And to you at home, thanks for watching.